Hi, and welcome to That's Ready Mysterious. Join me for an intriguing look into real-life mysteries. Who was the mad gasser of Mattoon? What was whaling at the Wilga waterhole? I'm not going to solve those mysteries, but they'll be interesting to learn about. I'm your host, Kelly with an I. Transcripts and references for all episodes can be found at that'sreadymysterious.wordpress.com. No apostrophe and no exclamation point. Today's tale is about Walter Collins. Walter Conrad Collins was born on September 23, 1918 in Venice, California. He disappeared on March 10, 1928. What happened to him? Walter was 9 years old on March 10, 1928, when he asked his mother, Christine Collins, for money to see a movie. Christine gave Walter a dime and off he went. Walter would never return home. On March 14th, 4 days later, Christine went to the police and reported Walter missing. Police immediately began a thorough search for Walter. They dredged Lincoln Park Lake, and when they didn't find Walter, they launched a nationwide search for him. There were some tips. Some people reported seeing an Italian-looking man with a woman in his car shortly before Walter's disappearance. According to some witnesses, the pair were asking for directions to Walter Collins' house, which was at 217 North Avenue 23. One witness claimed to have seen a dead Walter in the back of a car at a gas station in Glendale. The attendant said that he saw a foreign couple with the dead boy wrapped in newspaper except for his face in the back of the car. He recognized Walter when he saw a picture of the boy. Walter Collins' father, Walter J.S. Collins, whose real last name was Anson, was in prison at the time of Walter's disappearance. He was in prison for robbery. Part of his job in the prison cafeteria was to tell on people who had committed infractions, so he believed that Walter was abducted as a form of revenge by a former fellow inmate. Detectives said this wasn't possible because there was no ransom request. 5 months after Walter's disappearance, there was a break in the case. On August 4, 1928, a boy in DeKalb, Illinois, said that he was Walter Collins. Walter said that he had been abandoned in DeKalb by his kidnappers. The police in DeKalb sent the police in Los Angeles a picture of Walter. They showed the picture to Christine, who said that was not her son. The officers talked Christine into trying out the boy. They flew him to Los Angeles. Christine paid the $70 travel expenses. Christine brought Walter to doctors who had previously cared for the boy. They agreed the boy they were seeing was not Walter Collins. One of them said, "He has certain aisles of memory that apparently are blank. Toys that he played with before his abduction are strange now. Certain people that he knew well prior to his disappearance now are perfect strangers, but this condition will pass soon and he will be sound mentally." Christine brought him around old friends who agreed that the boy was not Walter. After 3 weeks, Christine and Walter returned to the police station. On Saturday, September 8th, Christine brought Walter, his dental records, and signed statements saying Walter was not Walter. She refused to care for him anymore. The boy that had been returned to her had eyes that were differently shaped than Walter's. His teeth were different. Walter had had some dental work done, but the boy in her care had never been to a dentist. The boy's feet were the wrong size. He was also the wrong height. Christine Collins swore the boy in her custody was not Walter. The police said he was, and Detective J.J. Jones said he was. Upon Christine's insistence that she was not caring for Walter, he sent Christine to a psychiatric ward, accusing her of being a lunatic and trying to embarrass the police. They used Code 12 to commit her. Jones allegedly asked Christine Collins, "What are you trying to do, make fools out of us all? Or are you trying to shirk your duty as a mother and have the state provide for your son? You are the most cruel-hearted woman I've ever known. You are a fool." On September 19th, the boy who the police said was Walter Collins admitted that's not who he really was. At the time, police were using a handwriting analysis to prove that he was Walter. The boy said his real name was Arthur Hutchins. He was 12 years old, and he was from Iowa. He had run away after his mother died and was hitchhiking around the country. He was in DeKalb, Illinois, when someone told him he resembled the missing Walter Collins, and he got the idea to impersonate the boy. He said he had wanted to go to California to meet his cowboy idol Tom Mix, so he went along with the charade. Upon this confession, Christine was released from the psychiatric ward. She had spent 5 days there. Around the same time Arthur Hutchins was confessing his true identity, the Los Angeles Police Department found a grisly murder scene about 50 miles from Los Angeles on a ranch. They found the scene because a 15-year-old boy, Stanford Clark, who was incarcerated in Los Angeles' juvenile hall, told police he'd been held at his uncle's farm. He said that Walter Collins was held there with him. Captain Jones swore this could not be true because they had already found Walter Collins. It was discovered that Gordon Stewart Northcott, with the help of his mother, Sarah Louise Northcott, was abducting, torturing, and killing young boys. There was no evidence that Walter Collins was ever at the farm, but Gordon Northcott admitted to killing the boy, as did Sarah. On September 24th, Christine Collins went to a grand jury to ask them to investigate her incarceration. The grand jury left it to the police to investigate their own actions. Of course, the police exonerated themselves. Christine sued the city of Los Angeles, Chief Davis, and now Captain J.J. Jones for $500,000. On October 22nd, the grand jury reopened the investigation and let other people testify. The next day, Chief Davis suspended Captain Jones. In the end, the grand jury demanded Chief Davis's resignation and recommended putting Jones on permanent suspension. The police commission did not ask for Davis's resignation and extended Jones's suspension to just 4 months. Mayor Cryer was quoted as saying, "I think that we may fairly concede that Captain Jones made a grievous mistake in committing Mrs. Collins to the psychopathic ward. These new techniques require careful supervision, or such errors are apt to occur. That does not mean that the officer who made such a mistake or the chief of police must be removed in order to pay for the mistake." Even after all of this, the newspaper still said that Arthur Hutchins was actually Walter Collins. Gordon Stewart Northcott said that Walter Collins would never be found again. On December 3rd, Northcott confessed in writing to killing Walter. He later recanted this confession, and he told Christine that he did not kill her son. In January of 1929, Gordon Stewart Northcott stood trial for murder. He acted as his own defense attorney and had Christine testify in his defense. Christine told the jury that a rock had been thrown through her window shortly after Walter disappeared. There was a note attached that read, "Boy bad sick, afraid to call doctor." Christine said that she gave this note to the police, but the police had said there was never a note, and therefore Walter could not have been kidnapped. On February 7, 1929, Northcott was convicted of first-degree murder and was sentenced to death. His mother, Sarah Louise Northcott, received life in prison. Christine Collins again sued for the actions of J.J. Jones, this time suing just him. Jones acted as his own attorney in the civil case brought by Christine Collins. During the trial, he asked himself why he didn't believe Christine when she said Arthur was not her son, and he responded, "I honestly thought her mind had been affected by the strain of losing her son and being separated from him. I still think so." The trial ended in a mistrial. Collins brought another case against Jones and won $10,800. In February of 1934, Jones offered Collins $500, but he never paid her a dime. Every couple of years, Christine brought him back to court to reinstate the fine and add interest. Christine Collins was the first woman in decades to be granted the right to visit a serial killer the night before his execution. Upon her arrival, Northcott refused to see her. Upon his execution, however, Northcott left a few notes, one of them blaming Walter's death on his father, along with a map saying where the bodies were. The map turned out to be a wild goose chase. 5 years after Northcott was executed, one of the boys he was accused of killing was found alive and well. This gave Christine Collins the hope she needed to continue searching for Walter for the rest of her life. What happened to Walter Collins? Was he one of Gordon Stewart Northcott's victims? Was he abducted by a former fellow inmate of his father's? What do you think? Leave a comment and let me know what you think. Thanks for listening to today's episode of That's Ready Mysterious. Join me next week for another captivating mystery.